Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I think we are ready to begin. So welcome to today's webinar, which is going to be about the Security Rapid Impact Innovations lane of the DASA Open Call. I'm Timothy Coley, Security Exploitation Manager at DASA, and I'll be taking you through today's slides with valuable input from Mike Madden, one of our innovation partners. The competition is open to ideas from companies, SMEs, academia, and individuals, and is aimed to enhance the understanding of threats to UK safety and security, enable threat protection, and enhance the threat response. Today, we're going to talk to you about the scope of the call, the expected funding amounts that are available, the dates for submission of proposals, the overall offer from DASA to suppliers, and the application process. You will see on this title slide and on the slides throughout the presentation a reference for use on Slido, where we'll collate any questions and we'll be answering them at the end of the presentation. Before I get into the main event, some housekeeping. If I could ask you all to please remain on mute, and you may prefer to turn off your camera as well in order to save bandwidth. The event will be recorded, and we will be sending out the recording afterwards to everybody who's registered. The Q&A is on Slido, as previously mentioned, so please direct your queries there rather than into the chat. The Slido is an open format for Q&A, so please bear that in mind when you're submitting your questions. Discussions will remain at official, and if you're having any questions along the way, then please use the chat function to direct messages to the DASA host in case of any technical requirements. I can see that somebody's put their hand up. If I can just ask you to direct any questions to the DASA host if you've got any kind of technical requirements, that would be much appreciated. So before we get into the detail of the competition, just some familiarization for those of you who aren't aware of the Defence and Security Accelerator. We were established just over 4 years ago in order to support suppliers and governments in the acceleration of innovation in order to address real-world problems in defence and security. Our mission is to help government access innovative solutions more quickly and try to pull those through into capability to ensure that we maintain our edge over threats to the UK. We work to address the gap between innovation technology development and the government, acknowledging that the government landscape can be challenging for suppliers to navigate. So hopefully we are the open and friendly face of defence and security innovation in the UK. In terms of the Security Rapid Impact Innovations lane of the open call, this is open to any security use case, and we're really excited to launch this because previously our security activity was focused on themed competitions, but now with some additional funding that's been made available, we can offer our funding and support to innovators with good proposals that consider any security use case that's relevant to government or indeed certain elements of the private sector, such as airports or critical national infrastructure. So we're interested in any type of science and technology, including behavioural and social sciences, and we're particularly interested in translating innovation from one sector into the security domain. We are targeting proposals that will result in a capability at technology readiness 6 or 7 by the end of the contract, which is a demonstration in a representative or real environment. And we would encourage suppliers when submitting their proposals to include a testing and trialing element as part of their proposal. Please note that we're not looking to run pilots of mature solutions or products unless there is some kind of innovation that's required to apply them to a security use case. DASA is open to anyone with a good idea, from academics and spin-outs to innovators who are exploring an idea on their own, as well as SMEs, large companies, third sector organisations, and businesses overseas, as well as in the UK. And part of our offer is to support suppliers in exploring the exploitation potential of their capability and to help them find routes to market in order to maximise the impact of their project beyond the funded portion from DASA. So why work with us? We believe that we've got a fairly comprehensive offer to suppliers that makes us attractive beyond just the access to finance and funding that we provide. Our outreach team are based throughout the UK, and they are open and accessible to any supplier who wants to get in touch and discuss an idea. They provide a front door for suppliers to pitch their innovation, and they can provide you with some guidance on the application process. The funding that we offer is full funding, so 100% of the costs associated with delivering your project. There isn't a contributory element, and we don't take an equity share. And our commercial terms allow suppliers to retain full IP ownership. We also work in partnership with frontline stakeholders, providing their input in order to shape not just the technology, but also the wider concept of operations around your capability to try to ensure that your innovation is translated into something that's workable in the real world. We also support our suppliers in developing collaboration and partnerships, both between each other and with operational users. We're able to deliver business-to-business networking events, and these helped our suppliers to build their links within the supply chain. And we can also provide market access guidance for those suppliers that wish to contract directly with government, recognizing that that is a complex area. We also have a dedicated access to mentoring and finance team who provide these support services, such as pitch events to venture capitalists, in order to help provide that kind of access and exposure to our suppliers, so that as well as developing their technology, they've also got the wherewithal to develop their business and to mature. Moving on to the cycle dates for the open competition. Some of you may be aware that DASA's open call has been running for several years, and we have 5 opportunities to submit proposals throughout the year. So the current cycle, cycle 3, closes on the 20th of October, which is probably a bit too short notice for those of you who are coming to DASA for the first time. But cycle 4 will open immediately thereafter and will close on the 5th of January 2022. In terms of the funding that's available and the project duration, there is no explicit funding limit, but for guidance, we do expect bids to be in the region of 100 to 350k. The project must also complete by March 2024, and we are expecting projects to have a realistic prospect of achieving an impact within a 3-year time frame from the completion of the project. Your project can include a further priced option for a testing and trialing phase, which should be targeted at gathering additional data to improve your product in a representative or real-world environment. And at this point, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Mike, who's going to provide a bit more detail from his perspective as an innovation partner on the application process. So over to you now, Mike.
Great, thanks Timothy. Yes, I'm Mike Madden. I'm the DASA Outreach Innovation Partner for the southwest of England, which is that lovely lurid colour in the bottom left. And I'm one of 12 partners who are spread across England and the devolved nations, but also we have an international partner. So no matter where you're based, there will be a local rep who would be delighted to talk to you. Now, to get hold of us, you'll see a screenshot on the left of our website. If you go to our homepage and look at the top right, you will see Contact DASA, or an innovation partner. So Contact DASA takes you to our help desk. So if you're having routine issues, please do get in touch. Things like logging in or whatever. But if you need to talk about an idea, then the innovation partner is your place to start. And you'll also see on the top right there other bits which will lead you to how you apply for funding and take you through to things like our terms and conditions. So in order to work with DASA, and in particular because we would like to see an innovation outline before you submit a full proposal, you'll need to register an account on our website, and you'll see there on the screenshot there, login / register for an account. Login process is very straightforward and shouldn't take you any time really. One of the first phases we would ask you to do, as has been hinted at by Timothy, is submit an innovation outline. This is a requirement of the Security Rapid Impact Innovations, and we encourage it for all rapid impact proposals, whether defence or security. And one of the reasons for that is it gives you the opportunity to present your idea in a simplified form and in a safe way through our system in order to gauge whether there is actually genuine interest in your idea. We certainly don't want you, especially smaller enterprises, to be spending a lot of time and money on putting together a proposal which we could have told you up front maybe would not have a chance of success for whatever reason. It might be we're already doing it. It might be it's out of scope for what we're looking for. But that kind of honesty is a part of the service we try and offer to you as an innovator. Now, when you submit an innovation outline, there'll be an electronic handshake with your regional innovation partner. So that's based on the postcode of the author, the submitter of the innovation outline, and that will begin a dialogue with your innovation partner. It might just be electronic, it might lead to a conversation, but ultimately we take your outlines, we go to the respective customer communities and seek a view. Now, once you've got that nod that actually, yes, it sounds like an interesting idea and we would like to see a full proposal, that's when you need to start thinking about going through the full motions of submitting. Now, just briefly there, you'll see that a proposal is made up of a number of elements. We have 3 sections: desirable, feasible, viable. Desirable is all about is the customer interested? Is there a need? Does this meet a challenge that is recognized by the customer community? Feasible is all about you demonstrating the technical feasibility of your idea. And viability is more to do with the programming and the project management, milestones, risks and mitigations and so on. Now, each of those 3 sections is equally important. But I would point out to you as well, when you fill in your proposal against those 3 sections, those 3 sections, those 3 criteria are also the criteria that we use to assess your proposal. So please take that as a word to the wise, if you like, when it comes to crafting your narratives. The other 2 parts are your project plan and your cost breakdown. Again, we do, I think Timothy hinted at this earlier on, we do try and set the bar low in terms of accessibility for our innovators. We try not to make life difficult for you. The submission form is really quite straightforward, and hopefully once you dig in and see what the project plan and cost sections look like, it won't scare you too much. But once again, if you do have issues, then it's back to the DASA help desk or your innovation partner, who would be delighted to guide you. Next slide, please. So based on my experience as an innovation partner, I've been in my role now for 15 months, and I think I've pretty much seen it all. And this is just a few top tips, really, words to the wise about submitting a proposal. So you'll see on the top left, it goes without saying, really, read the competition document and the terms and conditions. Irrespective of which channel you are bidding into, whether it's a theme competition, defense open call or security open call, there is an associated competition document with a narrative explaining what we do and what we don't want. And it's really, really important that you take a look at that. We do all too often get proposals that are just out of scope and often are therefore rejected before they're even assessed. They're pre-sifted out because they don't meet our requirements. So please do read the document. If you have any doubts, get in touch with your innovation partner. Because we're talking about rapid impact and more mature technology readiness levels around about the 6 or 7, we do like to see a good narrative has a strong focus on the end user need, which you can see on the right there, but associated with that is the exploitation approach. So not just who would be interested, is there a reasonable chance of this project being pulled through by the customer, and so it speaks to exploitation as well as end user need. A good proposal will demonstrate that thread throughout the narrative, in particular from the desirability section. What we don't want you to do is pitch a project for a problem that doesn't exist, if you see what I mean. I know it seems really obvious, but again, you'll be surprised how often we see that. I think I've laboured the point enough, and Timothy's hinted at this a number of times. Engage with your innovation partner. I can't pitch that strong enough, I would say. Not only can we help you to understand whether your idea is of relevance to defence or security, but we can also guide you in terms of what does good look like in a proposal. Certainly my experience, most innovators I speak to find that very, very helpful. The bottom right there's this idea about your literature should not be a sales pitch. If you have a product, there are other channels, and by all means chat with DASA if you're struggling to gain access. We'll try and guide you, but your proposal is ultimately what we will contract you to deliver. So we 100% fund your proposal should it be successful in our competition, as Timothy said. So your proposal forms the basis of the contract. Therefore, it must have sufficient content all the way through, including technical content and evidence, as well as a project plan, in order to be something we can contract against. We have seen these used as a vehicle for essentially an extended sales pitch, sales brochure. That doesn't fly. We only allow our assessors an hour and a half each to assess each proposal. And if you fill your proposal up with sales pitch material which is irrelevant to your bid, then all you're doing is losing focus from the point of view of your assessor. That will do you no service whatsoever. And my final points, really, two related points. Don't rush the application. Timothy mentioned that we have succeeding cycles, so if you miss a deadline, all is not lost. And we would far rather that you put in a good proposal and have a good shot first time round, rather than taking a punt, hope for the best, and maybe try again if it doesn't work. You will not always be invited to resubmit. So I would urge you, get it right first time, put the legwork in early, don't rush your application. And associated with that, my second point on this is, don't leave it to the last minute. We often find people thinking, well, I'll keep working my narrative, I'll submit it on the morning of, and funny thing, the website goes down, or your Wi-Fi goes down, or you have an unexpected problem, and then you miss the deadline. So don't rush it, work on it, do the best effort you can, but also don't leave it to the last minute. So that's the top tips from me, innovation partner. Please do get in touch. I'll now hand back to Timothy.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Mike. So this next slide shows some examples of some previous security innovation areas that have been funded through DASA. This should not be taken as guidance for the kind of things that we're looking for through the open call. We have very deliberately not provided specific areas where we are looking for proposals to come in, because we really want to welcome the full range of innovation from companies and individuals and academic organisations that might have a good idea that's relevant to security. So we want to hear from you what your proposals are, and if you can demonstrate their credibility and they fulfill our criteria, then we'll be able to take them forward and award those contracts for you to do the innovative work. But this is here just for a bit of context as to some of the previous areas that we have worked in. Moving on to the next slide, please don't just take it from me that we're a good organisation to work with and that we're able to provide some really excellent support and services to the suppliers that do ultimately gain contracts with us. You can see for yourselves here some of the words that have been kindly shared by suppliers that we've worked with over the years. And I think the point that I would really like to emphasise is that our offer is more than about just funding. The exploitation and the access to mentoring and finance services that we offer provide a real opportunity for companies that engage with DASA to develop not just a bit of kit or a bit of capability, but also to mature as businesses, to find new market opportunities, and to potentially grow into successful enterprises. Finally, to summarize, our Rapid Impact Innovations competition is open to any innovation that's relevant to security. We're aiming for technology readiness level 6 or 7 by the completion of a project. We can provide you with full funding, and you as a supplier will retain your IP that you generate under the project. And in terms of a call to action, we would invite you to register on the DASA website and kick off the process by submitting an innovation outline in order to discuss your idea with an innovation partner.